Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.
वॉचो ऐप पे देखो एक OTT के दाम पे सारे OTT शान से.
So South Africa prevailed in the opening game of the Super 8s of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup, but in typical South Africa fashion, in the fourth successive game for Aiden Markram's side, they do prevail with having the opposition at some point making us feel like the upset was on. Just 3 hits away, the United States, from what would have been a further addition to an incredible story. In the end, though, 194 was just too much for the United States. We look back at that innings, what it tells us about Antigua, about South Africa going forward, and where that game was perhaps eventually decided. On Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout, powered by Dishtv. Watcher. We'll hear from Andy Flower very shortly. Anil Kumble before that with me in studio. Were you nervous if you were in that South African camp, especially when a partnership of 91 of 43 came our way through Andreas Kaus and Harmeet Singh?
Yeah, I think, both the batters batted really well. There was 76 for 5. And then that 90-run partnership between Harmeet and Kaus. Both of them really gave a scare to South Africa, because I thought when they were 76 for 5, this was done and dusted. I didn't expect this kind of a partnership. Shamsi went for 50 runs in his 4 overs, so that will certainly be something that South Africa will have to ponder going forward. We thought that 2 spinners on a wicket like this, you would trouble the Americans, but Maharaj bowled really well for his 4 overs, but Shamsi was too full, too wide. That gave literally a lot of room to the batters to get under, and they got some really good boundaries. I mean, a lot of sixes were hit, and that certainly gave a bit of a scare to South Africa.
What's your takeaway from a performance like this from South Africa, Andy? In 3 games, they've been behind the game and they've managed to make sure they end up on the right side of the result. Here we saw them ahead of the game, and yet they were pulled back and close. What are your impressions and takeaways from this South African performance so far, in spite of the win?
Well, I think they should actually take confidence from it. The USA got closer than I thought they would get. That was a big total to chase. But I think the key takeaway for South Africa was that Quinton de Kock got runs and Aiden Markram got runs. And that top 3, that's the first time the top 3 have really made any significant contribution. So they will love the fact that 2 of their top 3 got some time in the middle. They will take confidence from that individually, and then they've got that powerhouse in the middle. If they start clicking as a batting unit, then we know how good their bowling can be. So I think that's the big takeaway that, for the South Africans.
Yeah, I mean, especially
just to add to that, from a bowling perspective, Rabada getting 3 wickets, that's certainly 3 for 18 of his 4 overs. So that certainly gives South Africa the confidence as well, because Rabada hasn't been at his best in this competition. Yes, he's been picking wickets but going for a lot of runs. But this one, this performance certainly will help South Africa. I think, we heard Aiden Markram before the start of the match as well, saying he was looking for that perfect game. This certainly wasn't perfect. From a batting perspective, yes, it was really good. They got the starts, they got a good finish. But bowling-wise, they'll still have some work to do.
I'm glad you brought up Rabada, because there was a case to be made that perhaps he was the least informed seamer from the others that we've seen. What was different today about him?
I thought he was bowling a bit more quicker. He was into the deck. His slower balls really were good. Just that one wicket that he got of Nitish Kumar, which was down the leg side. He tried to hit it into the wind, and that was perhaps the only loose delivery that he got a wicket off.
The Harmeet Singh wicket also would. Was he planning that next on full toss?
Yeah, but I guess he was looking for the Yorker there. But what was really impressive was a slower ball to the right-hander that he bowled at a good length, and he was giving the cutters, which was not easy for the right-hander.
You worked with him closely. Back me up. His slow ball numbers aren't actually as good, are they? T20.
They aren't, because he tries to bowl all those deliveries. I mean, he's such a skillful bowler. All he needs to do is run in and bowl quick in that first 6 overs. But he tries all these variations and then thinks that, okay, this is a white ball game. But today he was brilliant picking up those 3 wickets.
Very similar to the US bowling innings, Andy. 2 bowlers stood out. where Rabada's gone 3 for 18 at 4.5, and Keshav Maharaj at 6s. Everyone else going between 9s and 13s, which we saw even from the US, where Netravalkar and Harmeet were economical and everybody else was expensive. Explain that, please.
Well, it's not that surprising. That it tends to happen. You know, a couple of guys hit their straps on the day. They find their bowling suits those particular conditions and opposition on the day. And we all, as human beings, have fluctuations in our form and our confidence and our decision making. So Netravalkar's been solid as a rock through the tournament. And Harmeet really came into his own today both with bat and ball. And then the South Africans, well, I think it's Shamsi's second match.
Yes.
And he did struggle, obviously, going for 50. Nortje's been good so far, but this was probably the best pitch that he's bowled on. So I think they're still in a good place, and they've got an attack that's dangerous. Rabada is a wicket taker. He's usually a little bit expensive, but he is a wicket taker. So they will contemplate the balance of their lineup, I guess, after seeing Shamsi get hit and wonder whether Bartman should come back.
Yeah, that's a good point. And what perhaps explains one spinner going at 6s and Shamsi at the back of a player of the match performance going at 12.5?
Yeah, possibly. But then, you know, like Andy mentioned, this is just a second game. I'm sure they'll assess the conditions that they're going to play the next game in. If they believe that that's also going to turn and, you know, it could aid spin, then I'm sure Shamsi will continue to play. It was one of those games where the US, you know, we saw those stats as well. US perhaps is the best player of spin in this competition. So you can't take away from the fact that they did have a good game against the spinners. But you know, having said that, I think South Africa will look at the conditions. If they believe that it's a good batting surface, then I'm sure they may make a choice of Barton coming back for a Shamsi.
I mean, the next game is England at St. Lucia.
Yeah, so yeah, you would prefer to have that spinner with you, although St. Lucia is a good surface. But, you know, you might still look to have the wrist spinner against an English team.
Yeah, keeping that in mind, Andy, I wonder if you want to elaborate on your previous thoughts, whether they'd feel like, oh, we got away by playing that extra spinner, might have been better served with Bartman. But our next game is England at another very high-scoring ground.
Yes, it is. It has turned a little there, and it turns and bounces a little there. Shamsi doesn't really get the ball to bounce that much, so he wouldn't use that part of the conditions. But I think they'll just have to balance those decisions on the state of the pitch that they see, perhaps even waiting to see the pitch on the day that they play and not making their decision too early.
Yeah, there's a game tonight, of course, at St. Lucia, which is England at the West Indies. I say tonight, that's early morning for us, which is a night game back there. The one South Africa will play next will be a day game like today's. Just keep track of all of that. And we know England are stacked up with right-handers too. Someone who did take down Tabraiz Shamsi today was the right-hander Andreas Kaus against his country of birth. What stood out from that performance, Andy Flower? It would have felt good for Andreas Kaus to get these runs and played well, didn't he?
He was excellent. You know, he was born in South Africa, born in a small town called Welkom. And you could see when they were shaking hands at the end of the game how almost proud some of the South Africans were of Gauss's performance as well, which was really nice to see. He looks a good player. You know, he's played a little bit of franchise cricket, and I think after this World Cup he's going to play a bit more. He looks good against the quicks. You know, anyone that can hit Nortje back over his head, not once but a few times, with very little fuss, like Andries Gauss did, shows that he's got a little bit of class about him. And then, as you say, he played the spinner well too. He pulled him off the back foot and looked accomplished in his method. So he's got to be very proud of that performance. 80 or 47 balls against an attack like South Africa's, and really made the USA proud of their performance today. So great effort.
Yeah, they'd be putting the rest of the Super 8 group on notice, and you made the point before we went on air that they've got these many runs without quite a few of their key batters actually contributing.
Yes, I mean, we know that Aaron Jones probably is their best batter. We saw that on display in the group stages, and their skipper isn't playing, Raunak Kapoor. So two batters who one didn't play and the other didn't contribute at all today. Despite that, they've got South Africa close, and yeah, they should be really proud of their performance. They've been outstanding on the field. Their fielding efforts have been brilliant throughout the competition. They've been consistent. They've taken some wonderful catches, good run-outs, stopped really some runs. And their bowling has been sort of good, they've been consistent with their bowling too, on a good surface. And to now, being 76 for 5, and then to almost run in close to South Africa and win the game, or, they were, what, 3 sixes, 3 shots.
3 shots away, 3 hits away.
3 hits away, and without a couple of main batters actually not showing up. So they should be really proud.
I mean, Aaron Jones, who's the stand-in captain, the vice-captain, leading in the absence of Raunak Kapoor, speaking at the end of the game, says, hard to take a defeat after coming so close. We lack discipline in the bowling at times, and we feel like if we play well enough, we can beat any team in the world. We just need to be a lot more disciplined. US aren't here in the Super 8s just to enjoy the extended holiday and make up the numbers. They want more, don't they, Andy Flower?
Yeah, well, I think that's brilliant that the stand-in captain is setting those sort of standards for his team and speaking that sort of language. That's the right sort of ambition to have, and that sort of language, if it's being spoken in the dressing room consistently, will ensure that people stay sharp, train hard, and aim high. And why not aim high? We know what can be accomplished with, even if you haven't got the talent and resources of other countries. We know that you can excel in international cricket with a great attitude, a great work ethic, and a little bit of cricket smarts.
They now move to Barbados to play their remaining games against co-hosts West Indies as well as England, who would have taken note of this performance. Varun Iyengar asking on our YouTube Live, is the US still in the competition after such a performance? Have they shown us that they could actually upset one, if not two more nations?
No, yes. I don't think, they've come here to just fill in the numbers. We've seen that with the kind of performances that they put in the US. And now even today, with a couple of batters still not coming in onto their own, they've done a great job today against South Africa. So you can't take them lightly, for sure. I mean, England hasn't been in the greatest of forms. West Indies, you never know which West Indies will turn up.
Sure.
So yes, you can't really write US off. So it's very important that whoever is playing US from now on, they'll have to take them really seriously.
All right, and on that note, we pretty much wrapped everything from this game. South Africa with a win, as they've continued to do. They made it close and they've kept it interesting. But it's now time for a rapid-fire review, gentlemen, of the game that we've just witnessed. So 20 seconds to Anil Kumble and Andy Flower to cover some points we already have. But let's get through it, please. I will start with you, Anil. How big a boost is it for South Africa to have Quinton de Kock back in the runs?
Massive, because any opening batter getting runs, and that too at a quick pace, is an asset to any side. And Quinton de Kock, we know, is a match winner. And these runs will certainly boost not just the confidence of Quinton de Kock, but also of South Africa.
All right. Andy Flower, over to you. What will a firing Kagiso Rabada mean for South Africa's chances at this World Cup?
Kagiso Rabada is a wicket taker, and that's how they'll use him. He isn't a bowler that you want to bowl that wants to bowl conservatively and just keep things tight and quiet. He takes wickets. And that's the role that they want from him. He delivers most of the time.
All right, back to you, Anil Kumble. In spite of Rabada's brilliance, was South Africa guilty of some complacency in the second half of that USA chase?
Yeah, I think credit also should be given to the US batters, because, in that when they were 76 for 5, maybe South Africa took the pressure off a little bit. Spinners came on. The US batters got them off to a great start. Maybe that's something that's an area where South Africa can still work.
All right, and sticking to that, Andy Flower, not in a winning cause, unfortunately, but 91 of 43. What were you most impressed about that partnership with Andreas Kaus and Harmeet Singh?
Well, Harmeet Singh I thought he was intelligent with the boundaries, the sides that he picked to hit. hit for 4 or 6. And Goose was great, hitting Nortje back over his head and then dominating Shanzi. He showed a lot of skill and courage.
All right, back to you, Anil. Should South Africa bring in Otniel Bartman, the seamer, for Tabrez Shamsi in their next game versus England in St. Lucia?
I think it's if only the conditions permit that. Otherwise you would want to have Shamsi play against England because they're not really great players with wrist spin, and that's something that I think South Africa needs to keep in mind and not just go by today's performance.
Right. He still loves the spinners, Andy, doesn't he? That's
so
not a
20-second. That was such an obvious answer. You didn't need that.
Yeah, it is.
That was a rhetorical question.
Yeah. It's not my 20-second question to Andy Flower. That was easy. But Anil's made the case for Shamsi. Let me quickly wrap things up with Andy Flower on the last rapid-fire question. Andy, you worked with him. What's allowed Saurabh Netravalkar to be so consistent against top opposition?
First thing is he's consistent as a man, solid as a rock, as a bloke. But he is also very skillful and calm. So he knows what he can deliver. He's got a very good game plan. He's a smart guy. And then he's got the skills out of his fingers to deliver what he wants to deliver.
I'll give you a few more seconds if you're saying I'm going to put the paddle up for him in a few months' time.
Let's stick to one competition at a time, shall we?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Oh, I felt like I got schooled by Mr. Flower. All right. On that note, thank you very much to Andy Flower and Anil Kumble. I'll have you in tomorrow for India-Afghanistan. Look forward to your company then. Andy Flower, I think you're going to set your alarm to watch a cracking game, England versus West Indies, in the wee hours of UK time. You're up for that?
Really looking forward to it. Should be a cracking game.
All right, Andy, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts. We will connect again soon on Maruti Suzuki Arena Presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout, powered by Dishtv. Watcher, do download the mobile app, whichever part of the world you're in. If you want to catch up on what might be a challenging World Cup to follow as far as timings go, the ESPN Cricket for app will have you covered with the fastest scores and so much more. Download the app now. Can't wait for the rest of the Super 8 fixtures. They come along thick and fast. This is, of course, the pointy end of the tournament. We will see you again tomorrow evening. Good night.
Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.
वॉचो ऐप पे देखो एक OTT के दाम पे सारे OTT शान से।
Watch